You have entered into the black hole of real estate, a place for news, tips, and strategies. Once you enter into our vortex, even if you wanted to escape it, you're probably going to want to stay. I'm your host, Ron Wysakarski, and this is the Black Hole of Real Estate. Well, welcome back for episode 29. We are halfway through the month of October, and things are, well, they continue to be crazy is what's going on right now. And I've got some interesting news for the for sale by owner crowd and what's going on with that. The mortgage forbearance thing, there's some interesting strategies on that as well if you're caught up in that thing. And then what is our outlook for the rest of the year? Well, the first thing I want to talk about is the for sale by owner crowd. And I can tell you that it's almost a state of overconfidence right now, and I'm just waiting for the next lawsuit to drop. So if you are selling by owner, the tools available to you are greater than they've ever been. You could pretty much get your property up online. You can get pictures out there. You can schedule showings. You can do all the things that a realtor can do, or can you? I think the missing thing is that we're confusing marketing with professional expertise. You can certainly find a way to take some pictures with your iPhone or your Android or whatever kind of phone that you have, or how about this, a camera? And you can get them uploaded, and we do that on all the major portals and places, so you can do that part, there's no question. And you get your address right and a legal description, you can look that up. Those are the very basics. Somewhere there's a form or a procedure thing that says there's about 150 some things that go on in a real estate transaction. And I believe that most people selling on their own, I think they know the first 5 or 6. I think that's most people. And if you can get it out there online, absolutely, you will probably attract some attention, provided you don't price it from someplace between here and the moon. What happens after that is the expectations. Are we properly disclosing to buyers? If you're a seller, is there a leak or a hole in the roof that maybe you know about that you're not telling the buyer because you think that it's not necessary to tell them that? Well, 75% of all lawsuits, there was a figure out there that said occurred when a realtor was not involved in the transaction. And let's not confuse having a title company or an attorney close the deal as safeguarding the entire process. They're just closing the contract that's in front of them. They're not subject to the scrutiny or due diligence and the disclosures or even the knowledge of negotiation. What's governing pricing. There's so much that needs to be considered when you're selling by yourself. Now, this is not to say that you can't, and I've seen figures around 15% of the time people are able to sell on their own without a lot of problem. That means that 85% of you either aren't going to sell or you're going to have some problems. So that sure seems like a majority to me. So, knowledge from a realtor perspective is priceless, and not every agent that has a license has the same skill level. That would be the same thing for pro athletes or doctors or your barista at your favorite coffee place. Even your pizza maker has a different skill level. So let's not paint them with too wide of a brush. Now, when we are trying to, as a for sale by owner proprietor, what are the timelines? Are you matching your timelines with the buyers? And can you, as a seller, make sure that everything's getting closed out? Are there any liens? I mean, this is a thing that's showing up in all of our transactions. If you do the lien search, were all the permits properly closed out? Did you have a roof that was put on that maybe they failed the inspection but nobody ever told you about? Because I can tell you from personal experience that a roof that was put on 4 years ago was missing the last piece of paperwork, and it shows up eventually. Are the buyers in town? Are they cash buyers and maybe just in for a quick trip? Are they the ones that are actually going to buy it? Are they tying up your property? There's just a lot to consider, and I'm not here to give you the 152 steps or whatever it is, but I do believe this. If you're selling it by owner, are you presenting it properly? I'm sure you feel that you've got the best marketing out there. Just owning a couple of homes and selling a couple of homes through a realtor does not necessarily mean you've got a negotiation expertise, if you will. And I think we want to be careful. I've heard from some clients in the past, like, hey, I was able to sell my property over the summer without you. And they were pretty proud of that. And I'm like, my only question is for you, are you happy with the negotiation process? And so, yeah, it was easy. I go, out of curiosity, do you feel like you might have left a little money on the table? And they said, well, I saved the commission. I said, well, that's great. Well, let's just suppose that the commission you saved was $5 or $10 grand. But did you price it wrong? Did you price it 20 or 30,000 below where it should have been priced? And did you sell below market? There are a lot of stories out there where people are saving the commission with the air quotes up there and saving 5 or 10 grand, but selling 20,000 below market. It just doesn't seem like a smart business deal to me. Now, for those of you that are kind of caught in the crosshairs of this and maybe been lingering on the market, I can tell you exactly why your property didn't sell. It's price, it's location, it's marketing, it's location, it's price, it's marketing, it's those things. Yeah, it's a really long list of a couple of things. Location, condition, marketing, price. Boil it down to that. So I'm not advocating the use of a realtor or not using one. I'm just saying that right now for sale by owner is a big, big thing. Disclosures, inspections, what you know, what you disclose, what you don't tell, managing the transaction, actually getting to closing. There's a reason that professionals are paid what they're paid. And I know we want to avoid that because we feel we can do this on our own, and maybe you can. So I'm not judge and jury for you. I just asked that honest question. Do you feel like you're going to get sued now that it's all done? And did you leave any money on the table? And those are lingering questions that you may never be able to answer. Well, the for sale by owner thing, it's turning into Wild West out there, and I've seen enough of it that I think it's going to be a thing for years to come. And let's just say that there's some difficulties along the way if you're going to do it. It's part of the new normal. We'll see where it all leads. But I definitely raise an eyebrow and I am concerned. But best of luck is what I would say. The other thing that is coming up right now is everybody's waiting for when the foreclosures are going to hit the market and where are the great prices. Where's the deal? Well, the world knows that inventory is low and the rates are low. It is a seller's market, but right now I think it's slowed up a little bit. I think buyers have a window of opportunity. We've been talking about that, and maybe that window is short, for the next month or so. But some sellers are having a little being on the market exhaustion where they didn't sell with multiple offers, and I do see some people, accepting less than the listing price and being happy with that, or paying some closing costs where they might not have done that over the summer. But the replacement inventory is still slow. It's very slow. And we thought we might see by the end of the year some foreclosures hitting the market. Well, I'm here to break the news to you, not so gently, that I don't think it's coming. Right now, there's maybe 6% of the mortgages out there that are in forbearance that I'm not even sure are going to be foreclosed. We're seeing numbers as high as 2/3 of the people that went into a forbearance at the beginning of, let's say, March and April, when those forbearance options became more prevalent due to COVID. About 2/3 of the people have already made good on that, whether they made up all the missing mortgage payments, got some plan put in place on a deferral plan where the payments are readjusted. In other words, there's been a lot of workouts that have already happened, which we suspected would happen. I didn't think we would go into another banking crisis. We've seen how that worked out. It wasn't good for the consumer or for the banks as much as you might think it was. And my suspicion is with everything else on the plate, those last, and it's less than 10%, maybe it's 5 or 6% of the loans still in forbearance that were failing on payments. That's not too far off from a normal foreclosure rate. I don't think the banks are in any hurry to foreclose those. So it's likely if you're in a situation where you're not paying and you have a legitimate reason not to, I think the banks are going to continue to work with you and do whatever they can to keep that loan active and not foreclosed on. We're seeing small amounts of foreclosures hitting the market, and I haven't felt it was going to come, and right now the evidence is very strong that it's probably not coming, and I don't know where the next deal is coming for you. I can tell you this. I have spoken to so many investors that right now they feel like they can't find a property to buy and renovate and then resell it, and that's where changing markets occur, and we've seen this. I mean, certainly the financial crisis was the big swing of the bat that really knocked things on its side. But it was also due to a run-up of prices that happened over a number of years to where the ROI, it just changed. And homes that were selling in the 150 range 6-8 years ago are now selling in the 250 range. And I would say with light renovation involved, or sometimes not even any renovation. To see that much movement in price over that time, at some point you hit a ceiling on it. And we might be approaching that ceiling. When we do hit that ceiling, we are going to find out that the renovators and the flippers, it's going to be more challenging for them to find properties where there's enough margin for them to make a profit to do that. And they absolutely have a place in the market. So many buyers would rather have turnkey than a house that needs a renovation. And a lot of the reason is if you could put down an FHA mortgage with 3.5% or 0% on a VA mortgage, and the seller helps out with your closing costs, you may not have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 after closing to do the renovations, or you may just not want to live in dust. So we are absolutely in a society where we're used to ordering things and getting them the next day. The turnkey is a very important piece of the market right now. So having the ability to renovate properties, to put them on the market, that turnkey buyers can have them, that's definitely something short in the market. It's what's fueling the new construction market. So I am hoping for my flipper friends and renovator friends out there that there's more opportunities for them coming down the road from sellers that don't want to do the renovations or can't, and for buyers that simply don't want to improve upon the property. They want it ready to go, showroom new. What would that be, a renovated used car? Well, maybe that's it. Maybe a renovated used home. If you can buy a home that's 10, 20, 30 years old, but it looks kind of like the new ones coming out and save some money, that's a big section of the market that I believe the most opportunity lies in, short of the new construction, which is just crushing it this year. The problem with new construction is we are fraught with delays right now. The production time is going from 6 months to a year for custom builds and into the future. So it's getting harder even if you want new construction. Do you want to wait a year? And I believe that's where the resale is going to come back into fashion. At some point, the sellers will be comfortable selling their pre-enjoyed homes. And I think that's the market that's going to have the next piece of lift right now. Because construction is getting very close to maxed out right now. And build times are definitely impacting the decision-making process for would-be buyers. So it's interesting to watch. Where's that next batch coming from? I think it's that. I think as we get towards the end of the year and people are feeling more confident about allowing people to come and look at their homes and hearing evidence of other home sellers and hearing their stories that they sold their home and it actually was okay and it was safe, and if people aren't getting sick doing that, and we've really worked on that process, I think more sellers will be brave enough, confident enough to go back on the market, and I think that's where it's going to come from. I just don't think it's all coming in the next couple of months. Let's check back on that. Let's fast forward to tax time next year, April 15th. Maybe around then we might see some recovery in the inventory, but I think it's a gradual process, not a sudden process. And by the way, it's October the 16th. So I believe the last of the tax returns are in. The personal returns extensions were due yesterday. The corporate was due back in September. That is also a reason we might see a few more buyers entering back into the market now that they've got their financial numbers in order, with another return coming just around the corner. So interesting times for the financing world as well as the real estate world. My crystal ball, I'd like to tell you it's crystal clear. It just isn't. But I think we've got some pretty good indicators out there of where the market is heading and why it's heading there. Hey, I hope that you're enjoying what we're putting out for you at Black Hole of Real Estate. Click us a comment, subscribe, let us know how you feel, and we look forward to seeing you out in the real estate streets. This is Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.